When a struggling waitress found a forgotten briefcase stuffed with cash, she thought her prayers had been answered. Rent overdue, bills unpaid, her little brother sick, it felt like fate had finally thrown her a lifeline. But when she called the number inside and discovered it belonged to a mafia boss, she didn't realize she was walking straight into a test, one that would decide not only her future, but her soul. What happened next left the entire city speechless. The clock above the counter ticked past midnight, its faint clicking echoing through the quiet of La Luna Cafe. The storm outside had thinned to a drizzle, but the streets still glistened with rain, and every now and then a car would rush by, sending ripples through puddles and streaks of light across the window glass. Sophie Hart was alone now, wiping down the last table, her reflection faint in the glass door. Her hands were cracked from detergent, her apron stained with coffee, and her back ached from the endless hours she'd been standing. She was 24, but life had already bent her shoulders with the weight of too many responsibilities. Her little brother, Adam, was in the hospital again. The medication costs had doubled this month, and the doctor's words still rang in her mind. Without it, he won't improve. Sophie had nodded through tears, knowing she barely had enough money for rent. That was why she stayed late every night, scrubbing, serving, pretending not to notice the pity in her co-workers' eyes. But tonight she wasn't thinking about bills or hunger. Tonight her life was about to change in a way she couldn't have imagined. She noticed it when she went to wipe the corner booth. A black leather briefcase sat beneath the seat, half hidden in shadow. Her first instinct was confusion. No one came in carrying something like that, did they? But then she remembered the group of men who had stopped by just before closing. They hadn't spoken much, only ordered espresso and talked in low voices. Their suits had been sharp, their movements careful, and when they left, the bell above the door had sounded different, heavier somehow, like the air itself was holding its breath. Sophie crouched down, her fingers hesitating just before touching the handle. The case was heavier than she expected, cold and solid as if it held something alive. She placed it on the counter, her pulse quickening. She could have just locked it in the back office and gone home. That's what a sensible person would do, but she was too tired and too curious. Something about it felt strange. She glanced at the door, then slowly undid the clasps. The sound of the latches snapping open seemed deafening in the quiet cafe. When she lifted the lid, her breath hitched. Inside were stacks upon stacks of money, hundreds, maybe thousands of bills bound tightly with rubber bands, filling the case completely. For a second, her mind went blank. Then panic set in. She slammed the case shut, stumbling back a step, her heart racing. Who leaves something like this behind? She stared at it for a long moment, the war inside her louder than the storm outside. Her hands trembled. "You could take it," a voice whispered. "No one would ever know. You could pay the hospital, start fresh, breathe again." But another voice, softer, steadier, echoed in her chest. Doing the right thing always costs something. It sounded like her mother. Sophie's eyes caught a small white envelope wedged between the money stacks. Inside, there was only a black business card with golden letters that gleamed under the dim lights. L. Moretti, M. Industries. Beneath it, a single phone number. Her stomach twisted. Lorenzo Moretti, the name was infamous in this part of the city. People spoke it in whispers, half in fear, half in awe. They said he ran construction companies by day and an empire of shadows by night. The kind of man no one crossed and lived to tell about it. For a long time, Sophie sat frozen at the counter, staring at the briefcase as if it might explode. Then, before she could lose her nerve, she reached for the phone on the wall. Her hand shook as she dialed the number. It rang twice before a deep, smooth voice answered. "This is Moretti." Sophie's throat went dry. Hi, sir. I think you left something at La Luna Cafe. A briefcase." There was silence on the other end, long enough to make her regret calling. Then the voice returned, calm but sharp. "You found it?" "Yes, sir," she whispered. "I didn't open it, I thought you might want it back." Another pause. Then softly, "Stay there. Don't move. I'll send someone for it." "Sir, The line went dead. Sophie stood frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear. The only sound was the ticking of the clock and the rain tapping against the glass. Somewhere deep inside she knew, the moment she made that call, her ordinary life was over.